HFMA Texas Gulf Coast chapter, and so is Natasha Minto. She's the president-elect for the chapter as well, and she works for Deloitte & Touche. So we're glad to have you, glad to have the opportunity. I'm particularly glad to have the opportunity because I'm also an alum for this organization, this school. So it's many, many moons ago that I graduated, and so there is a future in this. And so sometimes I know you sit there and go, why am I doing this? But I did want to come to you just real briefly. How many of you by chance are HFMA members already? So a couple of you already are. Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about HFMA National and then the Texas Gulf Coast chapter to kind of give you an idea of some of the advantages to joining the chapter. I did ask just slightly earlier, how many of you currently work in the healthcare field? So many of you already kind of work in the healthcare field. Okay. All right. Just real quick, talk to you about HFMA, advantages of student membership. What kind of benefits do you get to being a member of HFMA? The resources that are available, use certification, student volunteers, and scholarships that will be available as well. And so I just kind of want to run through that with you. We do have a vision. HFMA wants to be the indispensable resource in healthcare finance. Our purpose to do that is to define and realize and advance the financial management of healthcare by helping our members and others to improve business performance in the organizations that they work for and those that serve in the healthcare field. So, typical organization, we all have a mission statement, we all have a purpose that we hope carries through. We have a chair. Each year it's a different chair. Typically it's voted on throughout the United States. Our chair currently this year is Ralph Lawson, and he chose the theme of leadership matters, which is, it really does matter. The decisions that you make in these classes, the decisions you make at home, the decisions you make outside in your personal life and stuff like that, there's a trickle effect to that. And so his act is that each person acts in some sort of leadership capacity, makes a difference within their organization. And that he also is very strongly feels, and so does HFMA as a whole, with healthcare reform today and stuff, that the financial leaders need to be the one that step up and they need to begin to lead the process of this. We shouldn't expect the government to fix it. We know the healthcare system is broke the way it is today and that it needs refinement. And so Ralph and many others within the organization, we truly believe that we need to lead the front before we're told what to do for it. And we need to work in partnership with insurance companies and payers and stuff to make sure that we are in business another 10 years down the road now. I did want, for those of you who are not members of HFMA, and unfortunately you cannot be employed in a healthcare position, but you can get a free membership, and I would highly recommend that you take advantage of that opportunity. Again, it's free, so but go online, and we'll get to it farther down there. But if you are a full-time student, which I assume many of you are since you're working on your master's, there's a lot of opportunity for networking. For those of you, I don't know where you work currently, but if you're looking to advance your career into other healthcare organizations stuff, this is a perfect opportunity to get out there and meet folks that have power within their organization, and then there are just those people that are entry-level positions that participate in HFMA, which is great because you get to meet them. You find out how they got their foot through the door in the first place, because a lot of times it's not really what you know, it's who you know that gets you in the door, and then you prove yourself from that point on. So why should you join? We're the leader in healthcare information for finance, and I'll go through many of the things that we have available to it, but there are a ton of benefits available with becoming an HFMA member. Just a complete list, and I'll go more into detail on that. We have many publications and resources available to you. I want to stress this particular page real quick, and we'll go into the detail. Is many of you have papers that you have to write, lots of research papers. You have to present finance papers. You have to look for a lot of data analysis and stuff. If you go to hfma.org, there's a wealth of information on there that you will be able to do your research on, and you'll have different presentations like the one Kent's going to give you that are available resources as well. Any of our previous luncheons that we've had are available. All the presentations for the luncheons and our events that we've had are online, and they go back, I think, to 2008 if I recall right. So if you're looking for a particular presentation that you heard or something like that, you can go online. There are also educational and professional development opportunities within HFMA, both from a national standpoint and a chapter standpoint. So I'll go into a little bit more detail on each one of those. HFM magazine is the number one publication for healthcare CFOs. So if you're in one of the CFOs' offices within one of your institutions, I guarantee you're going to find this publication somewhere there. Almost all the CFOs are members of HFMA. They may not be active members of HFMA, they may not participate in all the luncheons, they may not go to all the sessions, they may not attend all the webinars and stuff, but they do get a lot of information in the privacy of their own home via the internet. They participate in forums and stuff like that, and a lot of them pay attention to the publication of HFM. And so there's a lot of information within there. There's also a lot of marketing within that too, but there are great articles in there that you can pull from. There's a leadership publication which goes to the C-suite, not just the CFOs, but your CNOs, CROs, CIOs, CEOs. Many of the C-suite use this publication as well. And then there are newsletters, the Revenue Cycle Strategist, Healthcare Cost Containment, Strategic Financial Planning are all papers that are available online that you can look at. Again, I think this is a tremendous resource for you as you're working on your master's when you're looking for research. I wouldn't just quote from HFMA. There are a lot of other organizations out there. The Healthcare Academy has great documents and resources available to you, but this is definitely one of them out there. And obviously I'm going to give you the sales pitch on that one because I'm president of that chapter, so it'd be crazy to tell you about Healthcare Academy. But there's a lot of other resources available, reports, fact sheets, articles, lots of analysis, roundtable discussions that are available, and then something that would be of interest at the moment for you is the HFM Buyer's Resource Guide. But when you sit in those capacities and you're making decisions that affect your health system and you're looking for systems that have been peer-reviewed, stuff, the HFM Buyer's Resource Guide would be great for that. Lots of different subject matters online. There's an entire e-learning module session on there that would be available to you as a member of HFMA, whether you're a student or an active member currently. And so I would highly recommend that you take those. In addition to the subject you're learning today in finance, you can go online and get additional information just in case. You can go back and double check your professor to make sure he told you the right thing in the first place. So. But stay up to date. Again, the website is hfma.org. Very busy website when you look at the webpage. Sometimes I personally don't think it's user-friendly, but there is that search mechanism up there. I would highly recommend using that when you're looking for material up there. And as a member, you do have full access to all that information. There's daily and weekly updates online for you that are available. Any news articles that come out. The latest publication I looked at this morning concerning charity care in the United States was published the day before yesterday. And it's basically a summary of what the new regs require us to do in the year 2013. So if you ever had to write a paper on charity process for a health system, that would be great. We do have social media available to us, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and HFMA forums. I will tell you though that the HFMA forums are not available to student memberships. You have to actually be a member of the forum in order to participate on there. And there is a revenue cycle one which goes over all finance and stuff available, but you actually have to be a full-fledged member instead of a student member for that. Many opportunities for educational sessions, many, and a lot of times National and the chapter offer discounted prices to students. Even if you're a full-time employee in an organization but you're a student, you get a discount price to participate in these. ANI, which is the Annual National Institute for HFMA, takes place every June. The MAP event, that just took place this past weekend. Every October, there are leadership conferences spread out throughout the United States, Great Britain, and Canada. There are seminars available, webinars available, e-learning, and then certification. I'll go into certification just briefly with you as well. And then we have on-site programs, and again, we go back to what I was talking about earlier, the desktop learning centers. You can learn additional stuff from your PC in the luxury of your own home, in a classroom here or something like that. That would be helpful. That might help you as you're working toward looking for a career or a job in a new organization. The certification, I'm going to start down at the bottom. This is one I highly recommend to become a certified revenue cycle representative, and the reason why I highly recommend that one is all of you are in class right now, all of you are learning everything that you can for healthcare right now, so when you graduate, you already have the knowledge necessary to pass this exam, even if you don't have the hands-on practical experience. And it's important, the reason why I suggest you do it right away is, number one, if you snooze, you lose. You forget the information that you learned, especially if you don't use some of it. You know, so I remember when I was in school, to be honest with you, there were tests that I took that I learned the information to pass the test, and then I went on and never used the information again. You know, and I'm not trying to slice the prof, but that is that truly happens. So I would highly recommend you do that. And the reason why, and there's a quote after this slide that comes from Mark Wortham, who's the vice president of our chapter, but he's also senior vice president of Trustmark Bank, that explains why he became a fellow in HFMA, even though he is a banker. So I'll go through that right now. But become that certified revenue cycle specialist or representative, and then you can move up into the other organizations once you get our other certifications, once you get the experience and the knowledge available. The fellow program is excellent to have. I will show you the organizational chart for the chapter here later on. I want you to pay attention to how many of our members are fellows within the organizational chart. It's fantastic. I know that Natasha's a fellow. I can't remember if you are. No, and I'm not either. So I got an MBA. That's it. But highly recommend doing that so that you and I think this really says it why. And that just the second, whoa, sorry about that, these speed readers. Being a fellow and volunteering with HFMA demonstrates continuous commitment and opens doors to leaders in the segment in the industry. When I was talking with Mark about this, he said he has the advantage when he walks into a CFO's office. Mark obviously offers financing for huge capital projects, etc., buying MRIs, buying facilities, building facilities and stuff. And his presence there with that fellow initials at the end of his name, when he walks into a CFO's office, he gets a little bit more respect than another banker that walks in and knows nothing about healthcare but just wants to finance. And so this has been to his advantage and stuff. I know it's been for folks that are certified when they're looking for a new career or something like that. Sometimes you have two very well qualified candidates sitting in front of you on a resume that you've interviewed. They're both perfect, and sometimes it's just the certification that pushes the person hiring to the edge to hire you as opposed to somebody else. And that's why I'm saying, as a student, when you graduate, if you're one of the certified revenue cycle representatives, you have that advantage of getting into some of those positions compared to another person that just graduated and has just the MBA. So, and I'm not slicing and dicing an MBA, trust me. You have to have the MBA to get somewhere in healthcare today. Bachelors aren't going to get you a good paying job. So, anyway, specifically about the Texas Gulf Coast chapter, we are one of 68 chapters in the United States. We're one of 3 chapters in the state of Texas. Many of the states only have 1 chapter. The state of Texas, everything's bigger in Texas, so we have to have 3. So we have 3, the Texas Gulf Coast chapter, then we have the Lone Star chapter, which is up in the Dallas, Austin area, and then we have the South Texas chapter, which is over in the Corpus Christi, Harlingen area that covers that section of the state. Our particular chapter has 12 committees that you as a member of the chapter can participate in. I encourage you to get involved in the chapters. Again, it is a great networking opportunity, but it also allows you to take on a few leadership positions. They may be small, but it does allow you to move into those leadership positions so that you prove yourself. I'm capable of doing this particular position. I can be a co-chair of an event or something like that. And not only that, you make a name for yourself in the chapter. And remember, the members of that chapter are CEOs, CFOs, AVPs, directors, etc., so that when you're out there on the job market, they say, well, I've got Sam here in my office, tell me about Sam. Oh, Sam did this in the chapter and stuff like that. So it's just another little niche package to help you get something that you really want. And it doesn't have to be here in the city of Houston. HFMA is a national organization. We're going to have members from Seattle, Washington call down. If you're applying for Providence Healthcare up there and you're looking for a job and you want to move to Seattle, they're going to call the Texas Gulf Coast chapter if you tell them that you're an active member, and they're going to find out what you did within the chapter that makes you a better leader than the other person sitting there being interviewed. Take advantage of the local education and networking opportunities. I cannot stress that enough to you. We offer some great benefits to student members that I will talk to you about here in just a few minutes. And it doesn't have to be a student member as far as e-student member. You can be just a regular HFMA member, but you're also a full-time student, so we have some advantages there. We offer guidance and support as well, so when you begin looking into your career, you'll have opportunities there. Our structure for the chapter, and every chapter is different. Our Texas Gulf Coast chapter happens to look like this. We have a president-elect, which is Natasha, Mark Wortham, which is the vice president, Steve Hand, who's the treasurer, our secretary is Jackie Lewis, and then we have an immediate past president, which is Julie Rapatorki, and then we have multiple different committees. The 5 blue there are really what we call our core committees. These are the ones that sort of national requires us to have, but they're the backbone of the chapter. Programming, membership, sponsorship, newsletter, and certification. And then we have multiple committee structures below that. So there is an enormous opportunity there for you to look and see, I'm interested in something. Maybe you're going for legal in finance and stuff, so maybe you would do wise to serve on the bylaws committee. Maybe you want to be an auditor in the future, so maybe you want to be you want to volunteer for the audit functions, something like that. I highly recommend getting involved in it. Even if you're a member of it and you're not taking a chair or co-chair lead in that, but you're actively involved in that committee, that would help tremendously for your career track as well. I talked earlier about those fellows, or those that are certified. These are the officers of the chapter that I just mentioned. 4 of the officers are fellows within the organization, several of which are CPAs. That's pretty impressive in an organization. When we have a level of directors, there are 2 sets of directors. Each serves for a 2-year term. The 2011-2013 are the following. And you'll notice again, we have multiple fellows there as well. And Kent, I should have known that. I see your name there. Kent is one of the directors, but you can look at the variety of folks that are represented there. It's not just St. Luke's or MD Anderson or Memorial Hermann or Texas Children's or something. These are, as a hospital executive would affectionately call, vendors that participate in this too. These are people that are selling their services to hospital. Cardin Outreach, which does third-party eligibility, qualifies folks for Medicaid. Then we have a former student that serves as a director, Cody Hill. He's a former graduate of the University of Houston Clear Lake. He serves as a director. Banks, again, payers, insurance companies and stuff that are all represented there. Our 2014, we have lawyers. Everybody's got to have a lawyer. So Scott's a great guy, serves on here, currently serves as bylaws and stuff. So again, we have fellows there and lots of CPAs as well. Those educational opportunities, just in the month of November, there are 3 educational opportunities. I know it's like short notice for some of you stuff. Some are local and then some are regional. On November 8th, we have a joint session that we are doing with MGMA, the Texas Society of CPAs, ACAG, and HFMA that we're doing on November 8th. It'll be at the Norris Conference Center over in what used to be the Town and Country Mall, I guess it was, in that area over there. On November 16th, we have a luncheon at Methodist Hospital. It's a 2-hour learning session. It takes place during lunchtime, obviously, from about 11:30 till about 1:30. And the subject matter is lessons learned from revenue cycle IT systems. Installing an IT system, nothing related to finance, but what happened when we installed them, what, in the long run, how did it affect finances of the institutions and stuff. And then we have our regional event every November. It's always in New Orleans. This year's our 10th anniversary for this. It takes place November 11th through the 13th. And I would encourage you, if you have the opportunity, you can attend to do that as well. This is Melissa Fisher. She is the CFO of the Texas Gulf Coast Regional Bank. She's also a past president of the Texas Gulf Coast chapter. Sorry. And one of the primary reasons for her joining is because of the educational sessions that are available to us. She was a member, became very active, eventually worked her way all the way through to become president and then immediate past president. And she is very active within the organization, still serves on multiple committees, great input and stuff. So again, these are the type of people that are members of this organization that you have the opportunity to network with. About student membership, and again, this is not just, I'm not talking about e-student membership, I'm talking about student membership now in general. For our lunches, we offer a student a free attendance to that. All we ask is that you get a hold of Julie Rabatorki, who's the immediate past president, call her and say, I want to volunteer to work at the registration table or something like that. And if there's not a student assigned to that, then you will work at that registration table and then you'll attend the session for free on that. On the day events or the day and a half events that we have, which the next one that we will have that is local will be in the month of February. It's actually February 15th. We will have 2 students that will get in for free, and all we ask is that they just volunteer to either help with registration. Sometimes we ask our students, those that really want to and they're eager and they want to be published, we ask them to attend the session, write an article about it, and then we publish that article in our newsletters. So then when you walk out of here on your resume, you can say, I'm already published, whatever the subject matter is. And it's a synopsis of what you heard in one of the sessions. Our newsletter today was published today. It's available on our website, the Texas Gulf Coast website. I'm sorry, it won't be available until tomorrow on the website. But one of your students here from the University of Houston will be published in that as a synopsis of something that he had attended previously. Sorry, crazy cough here. And then of course we offer free money. So again, let me stress this, free money. It's a scholarship. Each year we award multiple scholarships. We send a notice out to the University of Houston Clear Lake, obviously. That's our primary, most of our applicants come from the University of Houston. We've had UT, Texas A&M, as well, Texas Women's, Texas Southern that have applied and stuff. But there are certain criteria for that. We ask that you do type a double space that has certain information that we're looking for within there. We're asking also, in addition to that, your transcript, as well as a letter of recommendation from one of your professors. There's a scale of how it's weighted when we go to do the evaluation. Academic achievement counts for 40% of that. Leadership experience, and again, the leadership experience, if you're volunteering for one of the committees or you're volunteering for a charity outside of the University of Houston or the organization that you work for and stuff, those are the kind of things that you want to put on there. Community involvement, if you're working for the March of Dimes, or heaven forbid that we have some sort of disaster here and we have the Red Cross go out, those are the type of things that you want to put on this application so that we can see that in addition to going to school, in addition to being a full-time employee somewhere, you're doing other things outside of work for that. And then obviously 20% on HFMA involvement if you're involved in that. Whether in this particular chapter or if you happen to be a member of another chapter for some reason, you want to put that kind of stuff on there. All of the scholarships are always offered. You will send the scholarship notices out January, right? January. And I don't remember the deadline, I'm sorry, right off the top of my head. But then in the month of April is typically when we award them. And what we do when we come to award them is we don't just mail it to you, we make a big deal out of it. We come to the school that you go to, we do a learning session, and then we present the winner with the award. One of your recent ones was, and I'm sorry, I'm so terrible with this particular name, Devka? Do you remember? A young lady that won, and I believe it was a $1,500 scholarship. So that's pretty significant. You don't have to be in the master's program. We did change the rule for that. We gave a presentation here a couple of months ago, actually last year when we awarded the scholarship, and one of your students asked us, why aren't you doing this for the bachelor's degree too? And so we went back to the board, proposed to the board. The board changed the rules so that we would, if you were working toward a master's or a bachelor's in the healthcare field, we would award a scholarship for that too. So I'm looking for a lot of applicants this year. So that's all I had from me from the chapter level or the national level. Do you have any questions or anything? Yes, sir.
You talk about the certified revenue cycle management certification. How do we go for pursuing the certification?
When you go to the HFMA.org website, you'll see a section that's called certification. Just go to that particular icon, tap it, and then it'll bring up the certification slide, and it'll give you all the detail about how you apply for it, what the criteria is, and stuff like that. And then the full registration is online as well.
And you don't have to be a graduate to.
No, you don't. No. I have one of the young ladies that works for me in my office, Samina. Samina was one of the first graduates for this particular program. This is a new program for that. But basically what she did was she worked at home and she'd study 2 hours every night because she had already graduated a long time ago and stuff. And she got her certification. She's the only one in St. Luke's right now that has the certification. So, yes, ma'am.
If you were starting sort of at, entry level, or I'm not sure, I'm in the industry side of healthcare right now, but if I were to shift over to more hospital or provider side, what kind of a position, if you had the certified revenue cycle representative, what kind of position would that be helpful?
A lot of it's going to depend on the experience you have right now, non-related to the provider side. So when you say, I don't know your particular situation.
So, certified coder and support
All
hospitals with reimbursement and that kind of thing. And
if you had any sort of management experience, supervisory experience, or anything like that, you would apply for anything within the patient access services, call center area, patient financial services area, even in the finance area, but those would typically be analyst type positions. You would not start out, unless you had vast amount of experience, you would start out in the entry level sort of analyst type position. Prove yourself there and then just move up into the management ranks.
Okay, that's perfect what I was looking for. Thank
Yes, sir.
One question. To be a full-blown member, rather than just a student member, do you have to work in the healthcare field, or can you?
No, you can become a member without working in the healthcare field. Again, if you'll remember, a lot of our providers or sponsor or vendors that we have, they're healthcare related, but they do other things like banking and stuff like that, not necessarily financing just for banks. So, yes, sir.
For the November 8th, the symposium at the Town and Country you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
I was looking at something that had like credits, CPE credits or CE credits. I'm not sure about that. They said, the fee was like $100 or something. I remember the ACHE and they sent that email.
If you are a certified member in a particular thing, for instance, HFMA or ACHE, or you're a CPA, there are many other different positions and stuff that you have to have X amount of educational hours per year. And that's what the CPE is that you're earning those. You got to get enough CPEs over, for instance, the fellow, I can't remember how many is 30, isn't it?
90 hours.
90, so that gives you 3 hours?
3 years.
But
within a 3-year period.
But is it 90 CPEs?
Yeah, it's 90 hours.
Okay. So, and then there's different levels too, depending on, for instance, an ACHE, which is American College of Healthcare Executives. There are different levels of CPEs there, depending on the courses or the sessions that you attend. HFMA has a different level as well. ACHE is a little stricter.
So ACHE has kind of two poles. One is you can take a class anywhere, like HFMA, and they will count. And then they have category 1, which are strictly ACHE approved courses that have to be live. So you have to be present there, and they take a combination of both to maintain your fellowship. With HFMA, it's also a combination, but I could use anything to maintain my fellowship with that.
One last question.
Sure, I'm sorry.
How often and when do y'all have the regular meetings with the chapter? Like what days or what time?
Typically, what we do is it's the third Friday of every month, typically, unless we have a day event that month. I think we have, on average, 8 luncheons throughout the year, and then we have 3 one-day or more events that take place within the city. This year, I believe we're actually doing 4 one-day events. Somewhere in here I just messed up. I'm sorry, it's actually 7 because in the month of December, all we do is have a wine event. So,
Very
for the
nice.
holidays, yeah. And y'all are invited to that too. So it's 7 luncheons that we have. Typically at the Methodist Hospital because it's center in the medical center right now. So it's easy and convenient to get to, and you can use the rail to get to it if you don't want to drive, or you can walk the tunnel system. So here. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to turn it over to Kent then.